get a little excited when you shop at Burlington.
What a low price! You see that? They have my favorite brand! It's like a whole new Burlington! I can buy two!
I'm saving so much!
Burlington saves you up to 60% off other retailers' prices every day. Will it be the low prices or the great brands? Burlington. Deals, brands. Wow. I told you so. Styles and selections vary by store.
We
are
Cultivate.
cultivate.
Cultivate. We are Cultivate.
Hello and welcome to Ye Olde Crime, where we discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear. I'm your host, Lindsay Valenti, and with me is my sister and co-host, Maddie Stengel.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
So, after months and months and months, I finally remembered what we called the feel-good thing instead of corrections cubby.
Right.
It was the kudos closet.
The kudos closet. It tickles like the back of my brain. Like it's so simple, but we forgot it so quickly.
I knew it was kudos something. I felt like it was kudos something, but I just couldn't get there.
It just makes me sad for those like kudos bars that they had in the 90s.
Yes. Those were
Those
so
were
good.
so good.
So good. They make like imitations now that aren't as good.
Yeah, they really aren't.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Doesn't have the same reduced fat ingredients that gave us all diarrhea.
Yep. All right. I'm just going to dive into it. And today we're going to be discussing the eruption of 1814 and the Cagsawa ruins.
Ooh.
For a second, I felt like that sentence didn't make any sense, and then I was like, yes, it does. I'm just going to go with it.
Do it.
All right. Information was pulled from the following sources. A 2022 The Travel article by Aaron, 2014 The Manila Times article, 2009 BBC News article, 1982 The Fresno Bee article by Jack Oglesby, 1982 The Sacramento Bee article by Jack Oglesby, 1982 The San Francisco Examiner article, not by Jack Oglesby, but by Robert L. Sammons.
They had more than one writer.
They did.
Yay.
1814 The Bristol Mirror article, Atlas Obscura, Cagsawa Church. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but it's a post by Silver Backpacker. I'm sure that's not their real name. Fabulous Philippines article by David Paul Wagner. Wayne Wagner? One of those. Parish Church of Nuestra Señora de la Porteria history article, and 2 Wikipedia links.
Color me intrigued just by the sources. Like it's, What is this?
And thank you to Carrie Ann for her research assistance for this episode. And
Yay.
links to all of the articles will be included in the show notes.
All right.
We wouldn't be here without support from listeners like you. If you're interested in supporting us financially, you can leave a one-time or monthly donation over on Buy Me a Coffee or our Venmo page. Links are in the show notes. And we make a point of reaching out to send you a thank you note and stickers to show our appreciation.
Want to show your support in a more concrete way? Pick up some Ye Olde Crime merch over at our TeePublic shop. We shout out whenever there is a sale each month, and we work to make sure we're creating new designs and changing it up whenever possible. And hey, thanks for listening.
Anyone familiar with history has likely heard of and is familiar with the story of Pompeii, the famous volcanic eruption that destroyed the city of the Roman Empire. However, many may be unfamiliar with a similar event in the Philippines, in Luzon, by the Mayon Volcano.
Oh, man.
In his Adventure Bound article in the July 25th, 1982 edition of the Fresno Bee, Jack Oglesby says, quote, "The Mayon Volcano is near the southeastern tip of Luzon, the main island of the Philippines. The beautifully shaped cone rises 8,000 feet from its 80 miles around base. The sides slope upward uniformly all the way, no lumps or bumps. The incline gets steeper as it goes higher, reaching a 35-degree angle about halfway up. The summit almost comes to a point. The crater that chops the tip off, however, is only slightly more than an acre. From that crater, a wisp of steam rises constantly, for this is an active volcano. Sometimes there has been more than steam. Mayon means beautiful, but this beauty occasionally has turned ugly," end quote.
Yeah.
As most volcanoes do.
Right. I think it's interesting that they decided to name the volcano Beautiful, like beauty, you know?
It is very pretty. It is pointier but very reminiscent of Mount Fuji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mayon, which also goes by Mount Mayon and Mayon Volcano, is located in the province of Albay, which is part of Bicol in the Philippines, specifically on the southeastern tip of Luzon, which is the main island, as Jack mentioned in his article.
Right.
When viewed from the Albay Gulf, Mayon appears like a, quote, "perfect cone," end quote, and to date is the most active volcano, specifically a stratovolcano, in the whole of the Philippines.
That sounds ominous.
Yeah.
Stratovolcano? That sounds really ominous.
It stands at 2,463 meters, or 8,081 feet, above sea level, and is the 28th highest peak in the whole of the Philippines.
Nice.
It is also part of the Pacific Ring of Fire.
Nice. That's kind of a fun fact.
It is a fun fact. Now, we've discussed stratovolcanoes in the past, but here's a refresher. They are referred to as such due to their alternating layers of lava and tephra, which is kind of like an ashy silt.
Okay.
Known as composite volcanoes, they are famous for their steep profiles and are one of the most common types of volcanoes. Some of the most famous volcanic eruptions from stratovolcanoes include the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in Italy that caused the fall of Pompeii, Krakatoa in Indonesia, and Mount St. Helens in Washington.
Nice. So it's in good company.
Yes. Estimated to be between 4,500 and 10,000 years old, Mayon is, quote, "admired most of all for her graceful symmetry, which has won her the title of the world's most perfectly shaped volcano," end quote.
That's adorable.
Mm-hmm. She's so pretty.
Girl, you look so good.
So good.
So symmetrical.
All the other volcanoes are so envious of your beauty.
You're gorgeous.
Now, according to Philippine folklore, Mount Mayon was the site of a double suicide after Daragang Magayon, or Lady Beautiful, a member of the ruling family of the Bicol province, made the mistake of falling in love with a prince from a warring clan.
Uh-oh, star-crossed lovers.
Yep. Today, the legend continues in tales that the volcano, or Magayon, continues to be wreathed in white clouds that are said to symbolize her doomed prince.
Aw.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's like the Romeo and Juliet of volcanoes.
Mm-hmm.
Older members of the community claim that the sound of a man and woman crying can be heard when Mayon erupts.
Well, that would just be terrifying. I'm sorry. If that was
It
real,
would.
truly, I would. If I could hear a woman crying as a volcano erupted, like loud enough that I could hear her from that volcano, I would definitely think the world is ending. I'd be like, oh dear God.
Why is
It's
it
done.
crying? The 12th century saw a migration of Malay into the Bicol region at the height of the Sri Visayan Empire. The migrants, who were primarily traders and settlers, created homes throughout the Bicol. One group created a village on the southern slopes of Mount Mayon due to its fertile soil, which was great for cultivating hemp, fruit trees, coconuts, and a variety of root vegetables and legumes.
That makes sense. I mean, volcanic ash is super, super good
Mm-hmm.
for growing grains and vegetables.
Mm-hmm. The village had thrived before Juan Salcedo and his Spanish conquistadors entered the area, and imposed their sovereignty upon the villagers.
Cute.
Yeah, we love some conquistadors.
Yeah.
And by love, I mean hate.
We don't like any of them. Any of the conquerors generally.
Mm-hmm. Renaming the village Budiao, the Spanish constructed a stone church to convert the locals. Because
Of course. First things first.
Christianity. Yep. Over the years, Mount Mayon spewed lava towards the sea, prompting the villagers to form a new settlement farther south, away from the volcano's base.
Nice.
This would become the town of Cagsawa.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was so excited that I remembered the name.
Foreshadowing.
Oh no.
Cagsawa was located about 11 kilometers or 6.8 miles from the summit of Mount Mayon and was evangelized in 1587.
Cute.
Franciscan missionaries soon constructed a temporary chapel from split bamboo and nipa leaves.
Those sound like fun leaves. I bet they're like
They do.
palm kind of.
I think so.
Nice.
In 1595, Cagsawa became part of the parish and town of Camali, which was the Franciscan center of the Albay province.
Okay.
Thanks to the efforts of Father Domingo Santiago, Camali's priest, Cagsawa soon became the most prosperous village at the volcano's base. Trade flourished between Camali and Cagsawa, who soon installed a church bell inlaid with gold and silver, which became famous nationwide.
Interesting. Yeah, that's awfully bold to put that in a church.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's quite the statement of like, look but can't touch, just try.
Yep. It said that the Moors were seen prowling the village's shores, which is very random.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like something straight out of like a ghost story that somebody would be reciting.
Yeah.
By the fire. Then suddenly the Moors showed up.
Yep.
Lurking about.
In the dark. Fearing that they were there to steal the church bells, the villagers took the bells and dropped them into the Busai Falls in a barrio in Daraga. Fun fact, it's believed that they still haven't been recovered to this day, as anyone who has tried has been scared off by lightning and thunder.
That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the island is like, this is still mine.
Mm-hmm.
This is mine now.
This is tribute.
Go away.
Yep.
You've done enough.
Yeah. 1605 saw the installation of Cagsawa's first parish priest, Father Alfonso de Yadraqui. Yep. Mm-hmm. And the city was sacked on July 25th, 1636 by Dutch pirates, of all things.
Okay. A turn.
Yeah. Who burned and pillaged the village, as well as burned down the church.
That's okay. Like, have your revelry, right?
Yep.
But like, they liked it. Is it a sign of oppression? Yeah, but like, did you have to burn it down after they liked it?
Yeah.
Like, stop squishing them, you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let them have nice things.
Like, stop giving them, like, stomping on their stuff and then giving them something nice and then stomping on that. That's so rude.
They already had to throw away their bells. Like, right. Come on.
They lost the bells. Still hanging out. You know, at least we have a church. Now they don't have the church.
Rude.
What now? A volcano eruption? Man.
It's coming.
Oh, man.
By 1724, the town of Budiao had grown to 4,000 villagers.
Wow.
Fears of the volcano continued to plague the villagers, who requested that the Spanish government transfer the city and its church to another barrio, a settlement known as Daraga, south of Cagsawa. Father Francisco Blanco would oversee the construction of the new church that same year. So they were like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's move it.
So they're like, we're going to build the church first, and then we'll let you guys come hang out.
Yes.
But the church has to be put up first.
Yes.
Got it.
Not everyone was for the move, so they ceded and became autonomous in 1786.
That's dumb.
So some people were like, now we're going to stay here. You guys can
And
move. We're going to stay here.
They're like, listen, by the power of the bells and our Lord and Savior, we'll be safe. It's not like we were just burned down or anything recently.
Yeah.
Or other bad things happened. This is fine.
Mhm.
The bells will save us.
Yeah, the power of the bells.
The powers of the bells compel you.
The volcano's first documented eruption took place in 1616, and it was described as multiple rivers of fire, sand, violent earthquakes, thick smoke, and ash.
Yeah, doesn't seem very godlike, you know?
No. Seems really wrathy.
Yeah. Which I mean is kind of godlike, if you think of
Fear
it
my
that way.
wrath.
I mean, the whole pillar of salt thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't super happy in the beginning. He really wasn't.
No. And it is in the Ring of Fire.
That's true. Yeah.
But by far the most destructive eruption took place in 1814, which would go on to be known as the fifth and strongest eruption to date since 1616.
Oh God, so there's been worse ones.
Yeah.
Oh.
February 1st, 1814, was the Candle Day Mass, a day of light, hope, and happiness.
Mm-hmm. And fire, apparently.
JK. As noted in the Bristol Mirror, quote, on the last day of January, some slight shocks of earthquakes were felt, but were hardly noticed, similar shocks having become very frequent since the dreadful eruption in October 1800.
So like 16 years. Just gentle vibrations for the last 16 years.
14, yeah.
14 years. Oh my God.
Yeah, they just kind of will show up and then go away.
Casual.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just a grumble.
Mm.
During the night, the earthquake became more severe, and at 2 o'clock in the morning was more violent than had at any time been known. It was repeated at 4 o'clock, and from that time continued without intermission till the eruption commenced. End quote. At 8 a.m., after several seismic shocks, the sky became dark as a thick column of ash, stones, and sand shot into the air near Daraga.
Could you imagine the sound of stones launching? Stones launching from the sky. Like I get like startled by the like hail.
Mm-hmm. The priest of the Cagsawa church, which is located roughly 11 kilometers or 6.8 miles away from the volcano, ordered the bells to be rung to alert the townspeople of the danger. As a result, hundreds of people hurried to take refuge in the house of worship.
Oh, right, because it was the only building made of stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all the other ones were made of like wood and whatever the palm leaf was. They're gonna get cooked. No.
The eruption emitted several 100 million cubic meters of ash, blocking out the volcano behind a veil of smoke and vapor.
I can't imagine what that would look like.
Not long after, boulders as big as 8 feet wide began to fall from the sky.
Absolutely not.
Killing those unlucky enough to be caught in their path.
Straight out of like a sci-fi movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Running into homes didn't protect the villagers, as the pumice stones were so hot that they set the buildings ablaze as they landed.
Yeah.
As for those who ran into the church, the stream of lava, hot mud, pyroclastic flows, and hundreds of meters of ash surrounded and buried the church, trapping and killing around 1,200 people who huddled inside.
Yeah, I bet. That's what I was thinking was, even with it being a stone thing, all that like hot air, it was just going to cook them alive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Quote, the eruption continued for 10 days.
Oh my God.
And during the first 4 was accompanied by almost total darkness. About noon on the 10th day, the noise of the volcano began to lessen, and at 2 o'clock the horizon was entirely clear and enabled us to see distinctly the horrid and lamentable destruction which the darkness had concealed from us. End quote.
Oh my God, I can't imagine seeing the carnage of that.
Yeah. When all was said and done, hundreds of dead and injured villagers lay scattered amongst the wreckage. As for the town, it became completely buried under 130 feet of lava, sand, and ash, with just the tips of buildings, coconut trees, and the tower of the church visible. Quote, the matter thrown out by the volcano covers the ground in some places from 10 to 12 yards in depth, and in others it reaches to the top of the loftiest coconut trees. End quote. The eruption also wiped out 4 other towns, Budiao, Kamali, Ginobatan, and Ligao, bringing the death toll to almost 2,000 people, while the surrounding countryside would be covered in ash, increasing the death toll to 15,000.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense because all of that ash, it takes so long for it to eventually settle.
Mm-hmm.
It just stays in the air for days.
The only survivor in Budiao was the priest, who managed to save himself thanks to a bent coconut tree. I don't know how.
That's crazy.
Quote,
if he didn't believe in God then, he sure as shit did after.
yeah, no
I
shit.
can promise you that.
Yep. Those who survived the ordeal relocated to Daraga, which was officially organized in 1815, with Venando Espiritu Salomon installed as their first captain. Daraga, like Cagsawa before it, would become a thriving town of commerce and industry, which historian Goyena del Prado would describe as the, quote, pride in life, end quote, of Olde. On a hilltop in Daraga, the survivors constructed a church in 1773. So this was after one of the original eruptions, so prior to the 1814.
Got it.
More eruptions would take place prior to and after the devastating 1814 eruption, such as the one that started on July 20th, 1766, that lasted for 6 days. Another started on July 6th, 1881, and lasted through August of the following year.
So humans didn't survive there during that time, right?
I would imagine they moved.
Yeah, there's no way you could live like
And
that.
I think for that one, it was more of like a continuous flow of lava into the sea. So it wasn't necessarily that it went all over the different sides of the volcano, but it was more like it took a distinct path into the sea.
Interesting.
Of this year-long eruption, a naturalist and geologist named Samuel Neeland noted the activity during his visit on Christmas Day, 1881. Quote, at the date of my visit, the volcano had poured out, for 5 months continuously, a stream of lava on the Legazpi side from the very summit. The viscid mass bubbled quietly but grandly and overran the border of the crater, descending several hundred feet in a glowing wave, like red-hot iron. Gradually, fading as the upper surface cooled, it changed to 1,000 sparkling rills among the crevices, and as it passed beyond the line of complete vision behind the woods near the base, the fires twinkled like stars or the scintillations of a dying conflagration. More than half of the mountain height was thus illuminated. End quote.
Very well written.
It sounds very
Like-
pretty.
Yeah, like the way I could picture it all really well.
Mm-hmm. Another eruption that claimed the lives of more than 400 people took place on June 23, 1897, and lasted for 7 days. Lava cascaded down the mountain, heading east to the village of Bakakai, which was buried under 15 meters or 49 feet of lava.
Wow. Yeah. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. 100 people died in Santo Domingo as a result of falling debris and steam, while the villages of San Roque, Santa Misericordia, and Santo Niño became dead zones. Ash from the eruption traveled as far as 160 kilometers or 99 miles away.
I mean, that's how islands are formed.
Mm-hmm. In 2012, almost 200 years after the tragedy, Daraga commemorated the eruption with Cagsawa dos Siglos to showcase the region's history and culture. This event takes place every year as a tribute to the resilience of the people of Albay and the dangers of living so close to an active volcano.
Mm-hmm.
Today, visitors can see the blackened remains of the belfry, which is all that's left of the city of Cagsawa and the Franciscan church. Originally, the priest house, convent house, and sections of the facade had survived the eruption, but all but the belfry collapsed over time, it's believed in the 1950s, due to earthquakes that hit the area. A plaque has been added to the belfry, which reads as follows, quote, Church of Cagsawa. The spiritual administration of Cagsawa from 1587 to 1595 was under the parish of Kamali. An early church was burned 25th July 1636 by the Dutch, who ransacked the towns bordering Legazpi Bay. This church, built after 1724 by Fray Francisco Blanco, OFM, was buried by rocks and lava during the eruption of Mayon Volcano, 1st February 1814. The authorities of Cagsawa, meeting at Ligao, 6 July 1814, decided to incorporate their town as part of Daraga. The first centenary of the destruction of the church was commemorated the 1st of February 1914 with a huge pilgrimage to the ruins where High Mass was celebrated. End quote.
Nice.
A wooden cross has been placed where the altar once stood, part of Cagsawa Ruins Park. It is one of the most popular tourist destinations in all of Albay. It is part of the Mayon Volcano National Park and protected by the municipal government of Daraga and the National Museum of the Philippines. To date, Mayon is considered the most active volcano in the Philippines and has erupted over 47 times over the past 500 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a lot.
If you want to explore the circular base of the mountain, it covers around 80 miles and is shared amongst 8 cities and municipalities, including Legazpi, Daraga, Kamali, Guinobatan, Ligao, Tabaco, Maliipat, and Santo Domingo. It is currently monitored by the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, located about 12 kilometers or 7.5 miles from the summit in Lignin Hill.
Nice.
And that is the story of the Cagsawa ruins and the eruption of 1814.
That's really sad.
It is really sad.
Could you imagine 4 days of total darkness?
That's terrifying. And
4 days of total darkness, and the only things you can see are flames
mm-hmm.
or lava or flaming stones and boulders coming down at like whenever. Like you
Yep.
don't see it coming until you're crushed.
And it's just raining ash.
Yeah. So if you aren't just like gasping for air and suffocating just by existing outside.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, that would just snatch all the oxygen from the air.
I think even if you covered your mouth and your nose, it would still like
Mhm.
suffocate you.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely wouldn't 10 days, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
If you
wow.
stayed there for 10 days, yeah.
Crazy.
If you love the show, the best way to support us is to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Good Pods, Castbox, Podcast Addict, and or Audible. Links to all of these are in our show notes, or if you're already listening on one of these platforms, you know what to do.
Oh, and while you're at it, shoot us a question you'd like to hear us answer on the pod. We'll give you a special shout out and address your burning questions all at the same time. The weirder, the better. Submit them via link in our show notes or shoot them to us in our DMs.
Hey, I'm Gina,
And I'm Amber.
and we're here to bring you the Weird True Crime Podcast, where we cover true crime cases that will leave you asking yourself, did that really happen?
We'll dive into questionable cases throughout history that are solved, unsolved, or just plain unbelievable.
We'll also talk about the quirkier side of true crime in episodes we like to call What the F Wednesday.
So be sure to subscribe and listen on your favorite podcast service.
We'd love to hear from you, and there's a couple of ways you can reach out to us. You can email us at yeoldecrimepodcast@gmail.com, where you can send us story ideas, share any spooky stories you may have, fun gifts, or even just to say hello.
You can also reach out to us via snail mail. Remember mail? Our mailing address is Ye Olde Crime Podcast, P.O. Box 341, Wyoming, Minnesota 55092. Fun fact, we like to send out thank you cards with fun stickers you can't get at our shop, so it's worth the cost of a stamp.
And this week's podcast plug is Weird True Crime. Weird True Crime is the ultimate podcast for fans of bizarre, lesser-known, and jaw-dropping true crime stories. Hosted by Gina Nichols and Amber Paul, these lifelong besties explore strange crimes that will leave you stunned. They dive into ethical, victim-focused storytelling with family interviews that bring humanity to the forefront of the narrative. Every episode of Weird True Crime unravels mysterious cases, unsolved crimes, and shocking events you won't believe are real. Need a lighter take? Tune in bi-weekly for WTF Wednesday, where Gina and Amber share hilarious stories of dumb criminals, true crime history, and other oddball crime tales guaranteed to make you laugh.
Nice.
Weird True Crime is a Fire Eyes Media LLC production, part of the Darkcast Network, and we'll have a link to their show in the show notes.
Nice.
And this week's listener question comes from Carrie Ann, and she wants to know, if you met a vampire, would you let it bite you for eternal life, or would you shove a stake in its heart?
I don't know if I'd want eternal life, but I'd want to actually know if my blood was sweeter as a diabetic, so I let him bite me.
That's fair.
You know? I want to know the difference in what it tastes like when my blood sugar's high or low. Like, is it sour if it's low? Because there's not a lot of sugar? I want to know.
Yeah, you'd be like a blood sampler.
I know. I was just gonna say I'd be like a stout flight.
There you go. But I also wonder, if you were to get eternal life, would you still be a diabetic?
Oh my god, could you imagine? Like,
Diabetic vampire.
yeah, like technically my pancreas is already dead.
Would you only be able to drink the blood of people with high
Wait,
glucose
that- oh.
levels?
The people with like really no, I'd have to balance it.
So you would have to sample.
I would have to make sure I'd get like see how many units that diabetic would take, and then take a sip after 30 minutes.
That sounds more exhausting.
This can't be right. It'd be funny. Okay, so if there's a listener that also happens to be like in the medical field and could actually work this out, Right in, because that's kind of interesting to think about.
Because that was my first thought.
But I don't think you would technically, because isn't like the whole thing of becoming undead and it kind of like fixes your impurities, like it heals your skin, makes it look forever youthful.
Yeah.
By that logic, my pancreas would heal.
But then also, if you were turned as an older vampire, wouldn't you still just be old?
You would think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
know.
We should have a vampire month just to learn more about vampires, and then we'll revisit this question and see if we know the answer.
Maybe that should be our Halloween episode, is just doing a deep dive into vampires.
Let's make it this October. We could do vampires from around the world.
There you go.
Like the different types of vampires, because there's a bloodsucker in every...
Pretty much every region of the world has some sort of bloodsucker.
Yeah, some sort of bloodsucker for folklore. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Thanks. I have 2 a year, and that's one. I got one more.
I don't know if I would want to live forever.
Right? Like, you can just have a snack, but, like, you don't need to do the other bit.
Because, like, the whole shtick with being a vampire and living forever is that you, like, end up being wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
What if you're a poor vampire forever?
I mean...
What if you, like, make some bad choices with the stock market?
You're just in prison for eternity?
You made some bad choices. You defaulted on some loans. You lose your house. Because you can't work.
No.
Like, unless you do, like, a graveyard shift somewhere.
Yep.
And what kind of work would you have just at night?
They could work remotely.
They could.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
They could work for, like, a call center.
There you go. Perfect.
Could be a 911 operator.
They could be a call center for a medical device company that helps diabetics. And that's how they find their victims, if they want something sweet.
Do me a favor, bite your finger, taste your blood. Does it taste really sweet or does it taste kind of sour? That's a good way of knowing if you're high or low. Just saying. That's a very weird thing to do. I'm just saying.
It works.
What's your address?
I need to confirm your address to mail this to you.
In case we need to send somebody your way. Just, yeah.
I can overnight it for you.
Yeah. And by overnight it, I mean send myself to drink your blood.
Right. Ding, ding.
Yeah, I'd probably just stake a vampire in the heart because I feel like eternal life could be a very sad existence if you don't do it right.
I think it would be terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a curse. I don't see it as a blessing.
No. It is cursed.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, what's something good you'd like to share?
Oh, we picked out the flowers for Mom's garden this year.
Nice.
Yeah. So every year in May, if we can't do the exact weekends of Mother's Day, we either do the weekend before or after. And I go to our parents' house and help her pick out and plant the flowers. She's got like 5 little window hangs, and then she's got 2 just kind of small beds that she does like different flowers every year. And we went with a pink theme. So various shades of pink. It'll be very pretty.
So my something good, I bought a Jeep.
You bought a Jeep?
I bought a Bumblebee Yellow Jeep Wrangler Sahara.
That's awesome. We actually got a Ford Explorer, and it's in a seafoam green color, like the color of my chair.
Nice.
Yeah. We needed a car too, and we got one begrudgingly, but it's very nice. But you got a yellow Wrangler Sahara. So is it new fancy schmance? You feel good about it?
It's a 2023, so it's
nice,
used, but it doesn't have that many miles on it, and it came from Canada.
Fun fact, with a lot of like the Jeep folks, from what I've gathered, is there are just these dudes that'll go out and they'll get these really nice Jeeps and they'll do a bunch of aftermarkets and then they're like, you know what? I want to customize another one. And then they sell it back. And then you've got these crazy used cars that are super nice. Like way nicer than a new one with like
Yeah.
50,000 miles on it.
We have to have some stuff done to it. There are things that the dealership that I bought it from are going to replace because there were some issues. I sent our contact like 3 separate text messages over the weekend about things that I found, like there's a slight leak in the back, and so there's a few things.
Yeah, just things that you find. Always good to let them know right away.
But they gave us a really good deal on the Pilot when we traded it in. So
nice.
It was kind of a no-brainer to do that.
Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad you got a car that matches your personality. Nice and sunshiny and bright.
Yeah. I wanted an orange one, but bright yellow is also good. All right. Shall we?
Let's do it.
Want to be social with us? You can see pics from this week's episode, bonus content, and funny memes on X at Ye Olde Crime Pod, or on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube at Ye Olde Crime Podcast.
Speaking of YouTube, we have a special playlist just for our Can You Crack the Cramp Word segments with our guest podcasters to see who can correctly guess the meaning of some obscure Victorian slang terms. If that's your thing, check it out.
And on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Madison.
And we'll see you next time with another tale
as old as crime.